Coming up on Carolina News, it's Halloween and the weather is looking scary for trick-or-treaters. Find out what it will look like outside. And after a police officer was hit by a car while on duty as a crossing guard, police and state lawmakers are taking measures to stop distracted driving. Plus, the impeachment inquiry into President Trump takes another step forward in a landslide vote.
This is a solemn day in the history of our country when the president's misconduct has compelled us to continue to move forward with an impeachment inquiry.
Carolina News starts now.
From the University of South Carolina, your news, your sports, your weather. Carolina News begins now.
Hello and welcome to Carolina News. I'm Madison Thiel.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Rogers. It's Halloween and trick-or-treaters are preparing to go out across the nation.
But here in Columbia, there may be some severe weather coming our way. McKenna Cieslak is live in the greenhouse with our weather report. McKenna, is it going to be safe outside for trick-or-treaters?
Yeah, guys, so the weather is predicted to look like it's straight out of a Halloween horror movie fitting tonight's theme, but not looking so good for those that are headed out to trick-or-treat soon. If we take a look at the radar here, the rain is moving in from the west, hitting the upper region of South Carolina, and will make its way to Columbia at the height of trick-or-treat time tonight, around 5:30 to 6 p.m. The rain is expected to stop at about 8 tonight. Not the news we want to hear as we prepare to head out for tonight's festivities, but what you can expect is to be grabbing an umbrella and rain jacket before you head out the door. Stay safe and stay tuned for your full forecast later on in the show. Back to you guys in the studio.
After the rain passes through, I'm sure the trick-or-treaters will be out in full force. Reporter Callista Brown is live at a local costume shop with tips for those participating in this evening's festivities. Callista?
Thanks, guys. I'm here at the Halloween Express in West Columbia, and there's more last-minute shoppers than you'd expect buying their costumes for tonight. But the most important thing you'll need for tonight is something you can't buy. Halloween is all about the candy and costumes, but your night can get scary if you aren't being safe. Terrell McCombs from Columbia Police Department has tips for tonight, especially for those going out for the first time.
I always say you want to make sure that you, for one, walk in a group. If you have a group of parents that have been before, you want to walk with them, stay with them. Always go to well-lit areas, never go into a stranger's home, and also make sure you always check your kids' candy before they eat it. I understand, kids, they love candy, as do I, but the first thing you want to do is make sure you check your candy. You do have people out here that do harm to kids, and you want to make sure that that is not happening to your child, so you want to always make sure you check your kids' candy.
Jen Herod, mother of two, tells her daughters to be safe.
Stay on the sidewalks. Always watch when you cross the street because there's cars coming in the neighborhood.
And last but not least,
get the good candy.
Tonight, make sure you have a flashlight or a way to make yourself visible to drivers. Be careful of masks like these that make it hard to see. Stay in a group and have fun. Happy Halloween, and back to you in the studio.
By now, you've most likely seen that shocking video of a Kershaw County deputy getting hit by a car while directing traffic in front of an elementary school. Well, it turns out it was another case of distracted driving. Carolina News reporter Catherine Polovchek rode along with the Richland County Sheriff today to learn just how hard it is for police to make sure drivers are keeping their eyes on the road.
It's not uncommon to see people at 80 miles, 100 miles an hour out here. And you're taking your eyes off the road.
It happens every day.
By the time you look down, comprehend, read a text message, start to formulate a reply, you've gone a football field, probably some more than that.
But it's legal in South Carolina.
I wasn't texting. I mean, it's almost an impossible law to prove.
And if you're one of the thousands of South Carolinians not paying attention behind the wheel, this can happen. So even though the Kershaw County deputy that was involved in that wreck was wearing a safety vest like the one I have on now, it didn't matter because the driver never looked up from their phone. So now, state lawmakers are stepping in. State Senator Tom Young has filed a bill in the Senate to make South Carolina the 21st hands-free state, making not just texting while driving illegal, but using a cell phone while driving at all.
Law enforcement says that this bill actually will make it easier for them to enforce.
And I saw firsthand just how difficult it was for Deputy Sheriff Copenhaver to enforce while we rode around on a routine traffic circuit, seeing instances that under the proposed bill would carry at least a $100 ticket and 2 points on their license, but for now, police can't do anything about.
You know, every day that goes by that we don't pass this legislation in South Carolina is another day that people could die on the roads because of distracted drivers.
And that's what State Senator Young is trying to change in South Carolina, to avoid other close calls like this. Reporting in Richland County for Carolina News, I'm Catherine Polofchek.
Currently, the bill proposed by State Senator Young is sitting in committee, and the deputy involved in that collision is okay and was released from the hospital the same day.
A man suffering from a mental health episode fired shots at deputies in Kershaw County last night. Deputies made their way to the scene at Malvern Hill Drive in Camden after receiving a call about the escalating situation. The man held a gun to his head, but when officers arrived, he fired at them. The man was taken to the hospital after the incident, and no deputies were hurt. A bill introduced in the state Senate back in April is proposing major changes to the organization and selection process of the University of South Carolina Board of Trustees. A meeting today of the Senate Education Subcommittee gave more insight to possible changes. Reporter Sarah Pritchard is live in the newsroom to tell us more.
That's right, Madison. Senate Bill 798 proposes reducing the size of the board and the areas from which the elected members are selected. Now, the way the Board of Trustees is currently organized, 16 of the 20 members are elected from each of the state's judicial circuits by the General Assembly. But this bill wants to amend that to make it 7 elected members of an 11-person board. In today's meeting, we heard opinions from consultants from the Association of Governing Boards of Universities and Colleges, as well as the chairman of the board, John Von Lee.
I always talk about board governance as the ultimate team sport. You could debate, you can go at each other all you want, but ultimately there needs to be an emphasis on the institution's mission.
That was the main message heard from the 2 consultants from AGB today. They made it clear that they were working to develop the board and make improvements by eliminating any perceived or real undue political influence.
The process of electing and appointing nearly all public institution trustees in the state of South Carolina gives the appearance and perhaps the reality of a conflict of interest for all board members.
This potential conflict of interest was what had many students and faculty upset when the Board of Trustees called a surprise vote over the summer to elect Bob Caslin as USC's next president. But the chairman of the board, John Von Lee, doesn't see it that way. He says limiting the number of trustees wouldn't allow the university to conduct business properly and fears it would eliminate what little diversity already exists on the board.
I like the method that we have today, which is with the 16 elected across the state from these various areas for the reasons I've given. I think it works very well.
While there was no vote on the bill today, the Senate Education Subcommittee will meet again to debate and take up possible amendments to the bill. If it passes there, it will go to the full Education Committee and eventually could make its way to the Senate. We'll find out the future of this bill this spring when the legislature is back in session. But for now, back to you guys in the studio.
The father of 5-year-old Nevaeh Adams has filed a lawsuit against Lantana Apartments. The body of Nevaeh's mother, Sheree Bradley, was found dead in the apartment complex on August 5th. The lawsuit filed by Dupree Adams alleges that in the last 5 years there have been numerous reports of criminal and dangerous activity at the apartments and the surrounding area. Changes are underway in Columbia's Divine Street. The old Shandon neighborhood is the latest hotspot for prime real estate, and we have an early look inside the Divine District. The new complex of luxury condominiums named Trolley at Divine will be located at the corner of Divine and Maple and are set to open next month.
Coming up next on Carolina News.
Big moves are being made in Washington after a landslide vote today in the House of Representatives as the impeachment inquiry continues.
Today is the first edition of a new shopping program started by online retailer RetailMeNot.com. But what exactly is Cashback Day, and what do consumers think about it?
I think that it's a good idea. I think that it's really interesting. I've heard of websites that do cashback options before, but I've never heard of like a cashback day, of a website that's running like a whole cashback day for a bunch of different retailers. I've never heard of that yet.
Today is Cashback Thursday, or National Cashback Day. This is the first year of the new program started by retail hub RetailMeNot.com. It is meant to be an earlier kickoff to holiday shopping season and rival Black Friday and Cyber Monday. The deal is that hundreds of retailers are offering online cashback deals up to 20%. But it would seem that many people don't know about it.
I didn't know about it, so I think that maybe if it was more publicized, that it would definitely gain some traction.
I called around to different retail locations in the area who were on the list of participating companies, but many of the store's managers were not even aware of the new promotional day. But in the first year of most things, chaos and disorganization is possible. But will this new shopping incentive day survive or crumble in the coming years?
I think I for sure would definitely participate in it. You said Target, and I was like, I love Target. I'm definitely getting on that.
For Carolina News, I'm Drew Hill.
Cashback Day lasts 24 hours, so the deal will be available until 11:59 p.m. tonight. You can get up to 20% cash back for shopping at hundreds of retailers online. Your cashback refund takes no more than 45 days to process and will be sent through Venmo or PayPal. For more information, go to RetailMeNot.com.
According to a 2018 report released by DHEC, the infant mortality rate for the state of South Carolina increased over the past year. New data released shows that SC's infant mortality rate increased to 7.2 deaths per 1,000 births, up from 2017 numbers of 6.5 deaths per 1,000 births. Despite the slight increase in 2018, it is important to note that infant mortality has decreased by 30% over the last 2 decades. More than 37 million people worldwide are infected with HIV. And now, a new strain has been identified. Researchers are calling the new subtype of the human immunodeficiency virus an ancestral strain likely circulating in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Researchers hope identifying new viruses like this one will help ensure new pandemics are stopped.
Children with no siblings may be at a higher risk for a common health condition, and a new study is hoping to make parents more aware of their children's health. Mandy Gaither has more.
More than 13 million children and adolescents in the United States struggle with obesity, and a new study published in the Journal of Nutrition, Education, and Behavior suggests children without siblings may be more likely to be obese. The study researched and compared 27 only children and 41 children with siblings. It determined children without a brother or sister had less healthy eating behaviors. Mothers who participated in the study completed questionnaires and a child dietary log. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, childhood obesity is most prevalent among 12 to 19-year-olds. While the study doesn't provide answers on why only children are more likely to be overweight, the hope is to build on this body of research and make parents aware of the increased risk in an effort to prevent excess weight and obesity in children. For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The CDC says obesity is most likely to affect people of Hispanic descent, followed closely by non-Hispanic African Americans.
The Path to Redemption Conference is being held right now at Benedict College. This conference helps people who have been incarcerated re-enter society in a beneficial way. Taylor Hicks spoke with the founder about what inspired him to come up with this powerful organization.
Is something that people struggle with. So today, this conference
Lester Young is changing the way we view ex-cons. At 17 years old, he was convicted of possession of crack cocaine and was sentenced to 90 days in prison.
Did not get the lessons that I needed at 17. Fast forward 18 months later, I was convicted of murder.
In 1992, Young shot and killed someone over a drug dispute and was sentenced to life in prison. 3 years into his incarceration, he realized that he was ready to change his life and do something different.
And that different meant taking responsibility for the actions that led to the incarceration and seeing how I can change the narrative.
In prison, Young came up with programs that focused heavily on emotional wellness, entrepreneurship, personal development, and financial literacy. Shortly after his release in 2013, Young's vision came to life. He created an organization called Path to Redemption, helping people who have been incarcerated re-enter society in a beneficial aspect. Young started his outreach by sharing his story with the youth to remove the stigma.
Every individual, in spite of their crime, deserves to find their own path to redemption.
While Young was in prison, he inspired
And I'm
many
just
people,
associated.
such as David Anthony.
I remember when Brother Lester was devising his first, thoughts about the program many years ago. And he's an inspiration to me, and the program is inspirational to others like myself.
The Path to Redemption Reentry Conference is happening right here at Benedict College. The goal of this conference is to provide resources to those formerly incarcerated as well as their loved ones. The best advice Young has to give people in and out of prison?
Find your why and be connected to that, and take your time and energy and focus into your why. And once you find that why, no matter how deep that hole you may be in, it will be that thing that will pull you out of a situation.
For Carolina News, I'm Taylor Hicks.
To find out more information about this organization and when the next conference will be held, head to pathtoredemption.org. It's almost time for the weekend, and it would be nice to know how the weather is going to be.
Yeah, if we're going to the USC football game on Saturday, Tiffany, what should we plan to wear?
This weekend, you can expect to be really cold. If you're going to the football game on Saturday, I would wear your warmest coat because you're going to need it. The temperatures are going to be really low Saturday night. I have more weather coming up after the break.